all for coming and being art appreciators. It's like the other side of the coin for me, like making my art. I work alone usually, and quietly, so to be able to share it is like another joy, and to connect with people. And so thank you for being here, and I have some notes I'll be checking as I talk. But so first grade is when I knew I had a pull towards art. I remember, I have a vivid memory, even of first grade. Just whenever there was like a craft time where we drew, it was like where I just felt comforted and like I was fully myself, and I lost track of time because I just got so into any kind of like art assignment. And my first grade teacher, I went to Mineral King, and my first grade teacher told my parents, your daughter is an artist, because she could see that gift in me at a young age, even though I was drawing stick figures. I guess they were good. I don't know, they were like everyone else's art, but I really got into it. And it just goes to show like words spoken over us, or words we speak over someone else, are so powerful and so encouraging. And because that really stuck with me. And then all my teachers throughout school recognized me and told, this is my mom here, told my mom that her daughter was an artist. And, thank you.
I wish I was.
Yeah. Just each year in school, I grew in my ability to notice detail and capture it. And it was just always my favorite subject in school. And generally, I'm a more quiet person, so it gave me like a place of confidence and expression. And so that is the beginning of my art life. For my inspiration, I've just always loved like kind of daydreaming and looking at nature and just observing like the beauty of color and lighting. I've always been like aware of it, or where it like catches my attention and I can't ignore it. Like just captivated, I guess, by nature and all the beauty I see in like the color, lighting, movement. And so painting is my outlet to celebrate, I guess, like what I see. It's like my response to what I see. And I had a roommate once. She bought us a sign at the dollar store that said "Aim to Inspire" and set it in our house. And I remember just loving that phrase, "Aim to Inspire," because it's always such a gift to be inspired by someone's passion. It sparks like motivation to appreciate life. So that's kind of like something that's kind of stayed in the back of my mind, like aim to inspire, because it's a gift. I just observing like it's just a lot of play, really. Like painting and learning to mix color, and once I like get it onto canvas, it's just like I'm constantly molding the painting until it gets to to something that I wanted to capture, or like what I saw that moved me. That's the whole process of the painting for me. And it is a process, because it starts off blank canvas and not detailed, you know. So I start off with like basic colors covering the canvas, like basic shapes. And then I let that dry, because with oil painting, it's layers of detail. And it takes a long time to dry. So I've learned how to like mix colors when they're wet or wait for them to dry, because like if I want colors to blend, then I have to work with them while they're wet. But if I want like two contrasting colors on top of each other, like orange and blue, I have to wait for the blue to dry, put the orange on there, otherwise it'll turn brown. So that's why it involves like a process. And I was introduced to oil painting when I was 16 in high school, and that's when I fell in love with it. And it just the blending and the quality of the paint just got me. So I've been painting oil paint ever since I was 16, and I entered the painting I did in high school into the Congressional Art District competition. And it won, and went and hung in the Library of Congress for a year. And they flew me to DC to like tour the Smithsonian Museum, and that was another kind of like mark in my life that spurred me on. I can't choose just one thing to paint. I know artists are typically known for like one thing, but I haven't honed in on that yet, because there's so many moments that inspire me. So I just move like moment to moment, or painting to painting, based off of what has inspired me. And it's endless. So there have been times though where I have felt like a writer's block, where like I don't feel inspired. And the best advice I got once, which is like a no-brainer, but a mentor of mine, she said, because I was kind of wanting to give up on painting, and she said, maybe you should just go for a hike and you'll feel better. And I went for a hike, and the next painting I made was this one. And I was in a wrestle of giving up, but it's like, but that's the entire process of anything we pursue, is there are days we might feel burnt out, or so. And it's a gift to me, because it's like therapeutic. If I go too many days without painting, I'll start to feel cranky. And, so it really is a gift to me. I feel calm when I paint. I feel close to God when I paint. I'll just hear, I'll process sometimes, or sometimes my anxious thoughts just get quiet when I paint too. So it really helps me be present whenever I'm feeling anxious about like the future. I'll just paint.
You must be painting a lot these days.
And I talked to a life coach for a year about like growing my business as an artist, and he said something very helpful. He gave me this visual of like a wheel with spokes, and each spoke was a different category in life that we need to care for. And if we don't care for all the things in our life, the wheel won't be able to move forward, we won't be able to grow, we won't be able to progress. And so I can't just like spending time with family, your spiritual life, like how are you feeling, your health and fitness, and like spending time with friends. Oh, I already said that, friends and family. Because it's just, it's really hard to pursue anything without support and connection with people. And sometimes also physically, I'll need to go for a run or a hike to feel like I can go the long haul. So to prevent like being burnt out, that's something I've had to give myself permission to do, is like, if I start feeling disheartened, then I know I need to go home and eat a meal with my family, or gather with friends and take a trip to the beach, or like have a silent retreat and like journal and reflect, or go get inspired, like go to a gallery or a museum and see other artists' work. Or just rest too. Rest is really important. I had another mentor tell me, because his mom was an artist and he was a pastor, and he told me, like, I know, I'm familiar with the life of an artist, and it's really hard to want to create anything if you aren't rested. So giving yourself permission to rest and nurture your own heart is really important for continuing in life. I think too, well, there's this book that it's called The Artist's Way. I took a songwriting class in 2020 online, and they recommended this book called The Artist's Way, and it just talks about all the things you can do to cultivate and nurture like the artist in us. And it was all kind of very much the same thing, like go on a walk and journal and cultivate inspiration. The author talks a lot about like believing in the provision that will come. Because a lot of us don't do something because we are afraid it's not going to work out. Like we don't believe we can do it. But the hardest part is starting. And I've just been blown away at how God has backed me up with things I do in faith when I can't see, like, will it work out? You know, will it be fruitful? But starting is the most important part, and then just trusting that as we, like, or as I've, it's kind of like stepping stones. Like, I'm only able to have this show because I made every painting in here, but it's one painting at a time, one day at a time, and it all builds. And once that happens, then other doors of opportunity open up. And that's been so fun to see, and it makes me excited to keep going. So I'm like, well, what new opportunity is going to come of this? Because I did this, now this is possible. Like, I'm also exploring music, and it's like if I want to record a song, I have to practice my instrument. And if I practice my instrument, then like I'll be able to play a song. But I'm not going to be able to play a song if I don't do that. So just starting. But once I start, the building momentum is all the encouragement that comes back to me is very confirming. And yes.
Do you paint
from your photographs that you take, or?
Yes, and feel free to ask any questions that pop up, because there's just a little bit that I have notes for, but yeah, if I can paint on location, I actually prefer that, because then I'm seeing it with my own eyes instead of a photograph, and it just feels, usually I'm able to notice more accurate color and to be able to paint depth in a painting, because sometimes photographs look a little bit more flat. But there are times where I can't paint from real life, because I'll be inspired, like when I'm on a hike and I don't have my equipment with me, so I take a photo and then paint from that. I would say like maybe a third of these paintings are painted from real life, and then the others are from photographs. Because there's like, the other thing about painting from real life, like plein air, is I have to work for a shorter amount of time, because a photograph doesn't change. But in real life, the lighting and the colors change in 1 hour. So I have to pick the hour that I want, and then come back each time I paint at that same hour, and hope the weather is the same. So it's challenging, and I have to work faster in a shorter amount of time, but it spreads the process out a bit more. I enjoy them both, but yeah. Yes. What's your question?
Oh, I was just going to say, would you use several photographs perhaps to, take a little from each? I'd like to do that.
Yeah. I do sometimes use, there's one portrait I did of my grandpa that it's not in here. I think there's a print in the, yeah. And I used like 6 photographs for that. Because there was light coming in from the window from a lace curtain. And in order to see that, I had to take a picture where it wasn't overexposed from the light. And so, yeah, the exposure, when you take a picture, it either captures the dark or the light. So if I'll need to take multiple photos where like I can see, and then I just decide kind of in the middle ground. And often I'll give myself the freedom to kind of make stuff up, use my imagination, or just hone in on like colors that I love, and I'll sometimes, because like you'll see in the paintings, like in the water, like there's purple strokes, and like people don't think about water being purple or peach or green, but there's so many reflections in the water. So, and when I'm looking at something, if I see like a color that is faint, sometimes like I'll want to celebrate that color and make it a little bit bolder in the painting just for fun. So I kind of, edit. I don't want my paintings to look like a photo. I want it to look like a painting. So there are certain paintings I'm like more tight on, hard line, and other paintings I'm looser. And it's all part of my exploring as an artist.
It's kind of a two-part thing. It seems like, you're painting, you're doing the thing, X amount of hours or whatever, but I gather it seems like your mind's constantly observing, and you're like, the process is happening nonstop. So I think like as a society, maybe arguably, we don't always think about an artist as working all the time. In fact, there might be like a flip thing where people think artists are like lazy to me, right? So you have to like dedicate kind of a lot of your life and your hours into this work beyond when you're actually painting. How important is it to sell paintings and move paintings for you to be able to do that? And do you think about other people viewing your art and, that thing of like, well, I gotta move some paintings, so do I paint something that's like out there for the audience, or are you just painting from a place of inspiration for you specifically? So it's two-part. How important is it to move some of these things? And then secondly, like, do you paint for other people's vision too?
Well, I was given the advice once by the same mentor that told me to go on the hike. She said, because she saw a bunch of my paintings, and she said, now, she pointed out all the ones that moved her, and she said, I think it's because it moved you, that it's moving me. So, something that you're not into, or you're not passionate about, because it's not going to be a good painting and other people won't, or if you don't feel any connection to it, or it's not like authentically something that you like, then yeah, we connect to sincerity and originality in another person. So I try and not like perform or be a people pleaser. But I wonder if I'm influenced by, because a lot of the people that really love certain paintings, I already loved them before they loved them. So, am I answering your question?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Then how important is it to sell art so that you can keep doing it?
Oh, it's very important.
Yeah.
And pricing has been hard to figure out. I've had people coach me, you need to triple your prices, or you need to like bring them way down. And I'm like all over the board, like, oh, I would love to sell them for a lot, but I also like want to get them out to people. And so I try not to attach their value to numbers of money, but it's hard sometimes. Because they're all priceless a little bit. But so sometimes like I don't know, it's I've given paintings away, I've sold them for a lot, I've sold them for a little.
But you're a professional artist, like this is how to be, right? I mean, this is your job.
Yes.
Yeah, just making that clear on that side.
Yeah, I'm living full time
this is
as
not
an
a
artist.
hobby. Yeah.
I don't have another job.
Yeah,
I've never collected unemployment.
Yeah.
So I take it seriously, but
On that
I'm
train
not
of
in
thought,
control. So
have you taken commissions
Yeah.
of people that have said, I love this scene or this space is where, can you capture it for me?
yeah, I have done that. And I'll make sure that if it's a commission, it's something that I feel inspired to. Because if it's not something, then it's not really worth it for me. Unless I just want the money. But I'm not, I would definitely prefer people buying my work. But when someone asks me to do something just because I have the talent or skill, it's different for every case. Sometimes I just feel like
You have the option of
absolutely.
accepting it or denying it too.
Yeah, I have the freedom, yeah.
A question. So what kind of support system do you have? Life as a full-time artist is kind of, my understanding can be sink or swim kind of thing. So
Yeah.
what support systems do you have in place, either family, friends, etc., or lifestyle? Like what keeps you supported as a full-time artist?
Okay. And I've lived in community, and that's helped. I've had several roommates, so I'm not living alone, and that's kept my bills down. Not having like too much overhead. so living within my means, but I've had so much support. Like my church, they have an upstairs room that it was like an attic space, and it was dusty and used for like nothing really. So I asked them if I could paint up there, and they gave me the keys and the code, and all of these paintings were in that room. So that's been a huge support.
There's a pretty big room to a church. It's very cool.
Yeah, and I think like just historically, a lot of artists were supported by the church too. Okay, well, I was asked the question a little bit earlier, how I've gotten support as an artist, and this story, well, these are two prints of my grandpa, and I've painted his portrait 4 times. And I lived with him for the last 2 years of his life, and he was 96. And at the time, I was working at a coffee shop, and I was just tired all the time, and not sure how to move forward. And my grandpa, he encouraged me so much because he said, quit your job and take a nap and paint. And so I did. I would take naps throughout the day like he was, and I would paint and show him. I would paint in my bedroom. Before I had a studio, I would just paint right next to my bed, and I would show him my progress, and he would applaud me. But I feel like that encouragement was really crucial because it gave me permission to consider painting as like work and like a worthy pursuit too. And I mentioned earlier how important it is for creativity to stay rested, because there's something about giving time to our like feelings and thoughts and inspirations, like responding to them. Instead of just going through the motions of like, just work, busy. So that was, I just wanted to add that to.
I love all the light you put in your paintings.
Mm-hmm. That support too, with encouragement, is like fuel in the tank. Because it wouldn't be fun if it was only something I enjoyed. But when I see other people enjoy it too, and I actually have something to give, then it makes it feel worthwhile. Yes. Oh, there's a question. What are you looking to achieve by creating art? In my notes, I wrote down freedom. I want to be free to live life as I am inspired. I think that's just part of the gift of life, to enjoy it. And yeah, there's a sense of freedom to feel like I